Hello and welcome back to Spooky Stitches, the podcast that is 50% yarn and 50% ectoplasm. My name is Sheena Peril and I am your host. It has been a little while. Don't let my most recent post fool you because it was accidentally set to private mode for 3 weeks without me noticing. That video was actually filmed back at the beginning of June and I flubbed the upload. So it's live now, but it's only been live for like a week. Anyway, we've got a little bit of a new setup here, as you might have noticed from the visible mic. This should help a lot with some of the sound issues I've been having. Unfortunately, the compromise is that the mic has to be on camera, but it should help a lot with like the background noise and the airplane noise. There's still probably going to be some airplane noises, but not as bad because I'm using this mic. Anyway, long story short, new setup. If I can just stop hitting the mic and the boom arm. We're going great. It's fine. So it has been a while since I gave you guys an update. So I'm not going to go into it. You can check the blog or go further back in my videos. But we did not move. I was really hoping that we could, but I was able to get some financial assistance from our union, but it was not enough to cover the cost of moving, especially since it would have been a temporary move into another apartment, probably a not so great apartment, and we're really trying to get into a house within the next year. I don't know if that's going to be possible with everything going on. There's a lot in the background that I haven't talked about here. But yeah, we did not move, but that did help keep us afloat through June and July. But that's a temporary situation, so I don't know what the situation is going to be in August. It's been a rough 6 months, 2 years. 2 years is more accurate. Anyway, other updates. I took a mental health break. Mental health is still wibbly wobbly, but we're working on it. I've basically replaced social media with reading, which I think is good on several fronts. I also mentioned on Ko-fi, I don't think I mentioned it in a video, but I have stopped writing for publication. It was negatively impacting my mental health. I'm still writing a little bit, but I am not seeking monetary gain from my work anymore because I've been doing it for 15 years and it's not working. So I needed to stop. I'm still writing for my own gratification, but I am not sharing what I write. So, with all of those fun updates out of the way. Oh, one other update. I got new glasses. I'm not super happy with these glasses. I had limited options at the eye doctor, but these are specialty lenses for binocular vision dysfunction. I'm still getting used to them. I've only had them since Thursday. It is Sunday, and I only started wearing them on Friday. So it's still in the adjustment phase, but new glasses, this should help a lot with some of my fatigue and other issues I've been having. So first, let's start off with what I'm wearing today. So this is the sweater that featured in the first episode on my other channel. It's called Pipes. It has 3 S's. There's a reason I go into it over there and also on the blog. And let me stand up to show you real quick. Okay, so I am awkward AF, but this is knit completely out of KP Stroll. The green is a discontinued colorway called Canopy, and then the black is their sparkle base, and so is the gray silver. The silver is called Chrome, and it's just a basic raglan. The pattern is based off of the puck drop sweater on Ravelry, and I can't remember the name of the designer off the top of my head, but if you go on to the other video or any of my websites, you'll see the name of the pattern because I reference it every time I bring up the sweater. I really like it. I especially love the lacing detail. I used one of those, I call it an I-cord claw. It's one of the, it's like a handle with 3 latch hooks on it, and you use it for doing I-cord edging. I don't do I-cord edging because I don't hate myself, but it's great for doing stuff like this. I really like the fit of it. It has not been blocked yet, so once I block it, the sleeves will probably get a little bit longer, and I intentionally made them just a little bit short for that reason. I have tons of this yarn left, so if they don't grow as much as I think they're going to, I can always add more later if I need to. But I really like the fit of it. I've worn it several times. I finished it right before we started getting our summer weather here in the Pacific Northwest because my timing is fantastic. But we've had a couple of cooler days, and it's a little bit cooler this morning right now, which is why I'm wearing it. Other FOs, some of these I'm going to have to insert pictures of. I keep a bag of my scrap yarn in my desk at work, so when I have downtime, I just make little tiny things. Mostly I've been making bunting to decorate my office, so I'll put some pictures in here. I made some for the big bulletin board in our entryway, which I'm not going to share here because it has information specific to where I work, but I also made some to go along the bottom of my desk, and I'm working on more triangles so that I can swap out the color based on the season or my mood. So I'm working on that right now. I also made myself a couple of kerchiefs. I'm so prepared. You can tell I'm out of practice on podcasting. Actually, this is just one kerchief. I didn't use a pattern or anything. It's just a basic granny triangle type of situation. A loose yarn tail there. I think I put it on upside down. I have some short little tails in there because, like I said, this is scrap yarn. But I'm happy with it. I have worn it a few times because this is the bulk of my wardrobe, aqua and teal. Well, the bulk of my summer wardrobe anyway. I also made a pair of socks. This is super awkward with the mic here now. But I've got these socks, again, no pattern. These are just toe up using leftovers. This is actually the same aqua yarn from the kerchief. I took apart a project that just hadn't worked out, so used the yarn for other things. And that's really it for finished objects, although I do have a half object that I'll show you here. So if you've been here a while, then you've probably heard me talk about the Eleonora Project, which is my quest to recreate some garments from the wardrobe of a 16th century Italian noblewoman. And that includes her burial stockings. So I finished the first modern interpretation of the sock. This uses a more standard heel flap and gusset method. It's sized up to fit me because I am not an itty bitty noblewoman. And I also changed the foot. In the original, the feet were completely patterned to match the rest of the sock. However, I have texture issues, and that would have bugged the heck out of me to walk on them. And then I did a standard wedge toe for the same reason. So this top part would be folded down over a pair of garters, like so. And I don't have these on sock blockers because the shaping for the leg and the sheer length of it means that they don't really fit well on sock blockers. But let me give it a go here just for demonstration purposes. So obviously I still need to weave in the ends and block these and everything, but for now they're just living in the project bag so I can use them for reference because I cast on for the second sock. This is my second attempt, but my first attempt had 3 tries. So the cast on for this is 126 stitches. And the first time I cast it on, I ran out of tail with 6 stitches to go. And I'm like, it's fine. I'll do like an E-chain or a twisted loop cast on for the last 6 stitches. No one's going to be looking at them that closely. And then I was still on like the foundation rows and got interrupted. Someone talked to me, set it down for a second, picked it up, and somehow ended up going back in the opposite direction because it was garter stitch in the round. So I realized that I had one side of my needle had more stitches or more rows on it than the other. So I had to tink back, undo that, and then I had to make some adjustments to the chart because I've done this once before now. I know where my changes need to be. So I was doing some math and fixing something on the chart and got about 3 or 5 rows into it and realized that I was working from the wrong chart because these stockings have 3 charts that they use. So that was not so fun, and I rage quit. I knew when I picked up this project, I was going to the SCA crafting group, and I knew that this was probably going to be too complicated of a project to work on around people, but I didn't have any other smaller projects and nothing else even remotely historical. So I'm like, I'll go ahead and work on this. And about an hour and a half into it was when things went completely wrong. And we only had like 30 minutes left. So I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this. So I ripped it out, took it home. And then the next day in the morning, I went ahead and cast on and started over again. And so far it is going pretty well. You can see I was working on this at the office, which is why there's a paper clip as a stitch marker here because I didn't have enough stitch markers with me. My chart repeats. There's one in between each of these stitch markers just to help me with the counting because clearly I'm not very good at it. So what I'm working on right now is I've completed the border stitches and this zigzag motif, and I'm starting on these lozenges right here. And this mic does make things really awkward, but I'm hoping that the audio quality compensates for that and makes it worth it. We're trying it. We'll see how things go. This might end up being the setup that I use for my voiceover videos instead. But anyway. So I've got a couple of other whips. One of them has been languishing for a really long time. So this is a sweater that I'm making for my father-in-law, who is He's very noteworthy. He's also a big nerd, and he loves Call of Cthulhu. So I am making him a sweater with Cthulhu on it. That actually shows up really well on camera. I didn't think it would. So in person, I don't think it's quite so contrasty. And I had to order the yarn sight unseen, and the gray is a little darker and a little more mottled than I thought it would be. Not a lot, but just enough that it doesn't contrast as well with the green as I thought it would. And this is Cascade 220. I accidentally bought the regular Cascade 220 instead of the superwash. I normally only work with superwash just because of my allergies, Ash's allergies, and the fact that I'm lazy AF, as I've mentioned, and I don't like hand washing sweaters, partially because I have nowhere for them to dry. If I can sometimes manage lie flat to dry, but I can't manage blocking. And it has to be able to go in the washing machine. That's just the way it is. So this is an improvised pattern, but it is one that I've used before. Basically, what I do for my men's sweaters is my dad had this sweatshirt that he really liked. He called it his job shirt. And it was a sweatshirt he got from his work, and he wore it all the time. And it's one of those like quarter zip or 1/3 zip pullover sweatshirts, long sleeve with, I guess like a mock neck type of collar. Once it's zipped, like it stands up a little bit, but it folds down when it's unzipped. And what I did was I just took the measurements on that and I used that as the basis and then adjust the measurements based on who I'm making it for. So I'm working on that right now. I'm hoping to finish the colorwork portion of it today, because after that, it's just going to be straight stockinette in the round for miles. And I don't have a no-brain project right now. That's another reason why I was uncertain about starting that stocking at my craft group, because I really needed a no-brain project. But I also really didn't want to start something new because I have several whips going right now. I have more whips than I would like at the moment. And that's not counting the one that's in hibernation, which I'm not even going to talk about today. So the yarn I'm using, the color doesn't have a name. So I can't tell you which one is which. One of them is color 8400. I'm not sure which one that is. If I remember, I will look them up when I'm done recording and put it in the show notes down below. So far, I am enjoying using that yarn. I don't think it's something that I could wear myself because, like I said, texture issues, skin sensitivity, allergies, all of that. But I don't mind working with it. And I'm fairly confident that my in-laws will be okay with just doing like a spot clean or hand wash type of situation on it. But also, by the time I realized it wasn't superwash, I had already opened the yarn and it was too late to go back. I couldn't return it or anything. So I started that last May, and then things kind of went to shit. And I put it down because there was just too much going on. I didn't have the energy to work on it. I didn't have the mental capacity to work on it. But I am picking it up again now. My other project that I'm working on was also on hold for about the same amount of time, and it is also a gift for my in-laws. It's for my mother-in-law. So my mother-in-law is a stained glass artist. And there is a pattern on Ravelry that I can't remember the name of off the top of my head, but it's a shawl that looks like stained glass. And the first time I saw it, I thought someone had recreated one of the stained glass windows from the Beauty and the Beast animated version. That's not what it was, but it definitely is reminiscent of it, and it definitely looks like a stained glass window. However, once I downloaded the pattern and read the instructions, my brain said, fuck that. It's done with individual motifs. Each one had like 10 to 12 ends that would need to be woven in. And then you have to assemble it, which is more ends. And the way that she has you assemble it is to lay out a piece of fabric, pin all the motifs down, and then sew around them. And if you have to stop, you roll up the fabric, which is a clever way of doing it. But it was... I could not wrap my head around how to plan for that project. And our space is very limited. Like, there is no way that I could lay out 2 yards of fabric for an extended period of time so that I could pin down and arrange everything with the cats. And it was way too much. So I adapted it. I adapted it very lazily. So we have granny squares bordered in black to give the look of the leaded glass. And this, I'm doing this join as you go. This is the first time I've done join as you go. So let me stand up again and I'll try and give you an idea of what this looks like right now. But I probably won't be able to get the whole thing on camera. Okay, so when I turned it, that's the way it's supposed to go. I was accidentally holding it sideways. I might add some extra width to the sides once I'm done, but it depends on how much yarn I have left over. I'm just using my scraps for that. And the way I'm doing it is I'm doing a purple heavy square and then another square in different colors. And then alternating that because she really likes purple, so I'm trying to incorporate that. I do need to make a few more purple squares, but it's just meant to be like something you cozy up under on the couch. It's not meant to cover a bed or anything. That is all sock white scraps. The black yarn is KP Stroll because I buy bags of 10 of that, and then that's like the base black yarn that I use for just about everything. And the last project, well, okay, I'm sorry, I've got 2 more, sorry. The last project that I'm going to talk about real quick is one of the projects I'm working on in my office, one of those scrap projects. This is a beret. Specifically, it is, I think it's called the Lazy Knitter's Beret. Again, all the information is going to be down below, which is a recipe that I found on Ravelry. It is free, and I've adjusted it to use fingering weight yarn and a size 1 needle because that's what I have at the office. And again, it's using leftover scrap yarn, so I can't really tell you what anything is. I can tell you that the dark purple, that is a yarn that I overdyed. It used to be really ugly, like tan, red, blue, green. It was a sock yarn that I got in like one of the bags at the thrift store where they have multiple yarns in there. I'd bought it for 2 other sock yarns that were in the bag, and that came with it. And it's so ugly. I don't like the way it nets up. So I dyed it dark purple, and now it's just variegated dark purple with a little bit of like a dark brown color in there. Because purple and yellow make brown, and there was a little bit of yellow in there as well. So I'm working on that. It's going very slowly. It's going very slowly. I haven't had a lot of time to work on it in the last week or 2 because my work schedule changed. And instead of working 4 days in the office for 8 hours and then 1 day at home, I'm working 5 hours in the office 4 days a week, and then I come home. So most of my work I've been doing in the morning when I'm at the office and have all the office-y resources. And then when I come home, I'm mostly knitting and monitoring my email. So I haven't made a ton of progress on that. The band for it went quite slowly, but it's also a fold over brim. So that's 2 layers of fabric, and it's knit in broken rib. So it took a little bit longer. I've also been having issues with my thumbs. I have a little bit of hypermobility, not to the point of like a proper diagnosis. So you're hypermobile, you have EDS or something like that. EDS does run in my family. I do not have it, but I do have hypermobility in some of my joints, specifically my thumbs, my wrists, and my ankles. And then I occasionally have issues with like my knees and hips and with my shoulders and back, but that's partially due to an injury I had. But that injury probably wouldn't have happened if I wasn't hypermobile. So it's very mild. It doesn't bother me very much. It's just lately my thumbs have been bugging me, so I haven't been able to knit on that finer gauge as easily. And then the last project I'm working on is actually remaking a project that I did in like 2023. I think it was on the podcast at one point. And I never wore it because I was never happy with the way that it came out. So let me grab it real quick. So I'm going to insert a photo here of what the original looked like. And this is going to have its own video. I'm not sure if it's going to show up on this channel or on the other channel with some like voiceover talking about cozy mysteries and stuff. I do have a second channel and it's focused on cozy mysteries, so you can go check that out. So this is where we are so far. And I'm basically doing the exact same thing as the original, except instead of a button-down vest, I'm making a pullover because I just like pullover vests a lot better than the buttoned ones. I've always struggled to wear buttoned vests. I just don't think that they look right on me. I think they tend to sit funny on my front because I am very busty unless I get the fit exactly right. And I did not have enough yarn to get the fit exactly right on this one. So I am undoing the original as I go. And yes, again, I am lazy AF, so I did not rewind the yarn or steam it or anything. I am just pulling it directly off of the project. It's fine. It will be fine. I've done this before. Don't come for me, okay? The problem is that I'm going to need another skein of this yarn. This is Berocco Vintage. It is a wool acrylic cotton mix, and I think it has cotton in it. It's a wool blend. I remember that much. The color is bird's egg, and and this is Knit Picks. Oh, I can't remember the name of it now. I have some over there, but I can't reach it. This is also a wool blend from Knit Picks, worsted weight. The color is Celestial, I believe. And I'll put it all down below, of course. So while I'm waiting on the additional ball of the bird's egg to arrive, I'll probably go through into the armscye and the collar. But yeah, it's going pretty well. Again, improvised pattern, and this is just an alternating knit and purl pattern. Which my camera doesn't want to focus on that well. But anyway, I like the texture pattern. I thought that I liked the way the fabric laid on me. I didn't like the fit. So I'm working on this, and I hope to have this done by the end of the week. Okay. that is it for FOs and whips. I do have 2 little stash acquisitions to show you. So the first one is this. And it's showing up a little bit more red-orange on camera. It's actually more magenta with some like hot coral to orange thrown in. And this is Malabrigo Rios in color 280 Gemini. And I got it because it's very flamingo colored. And I've been leaning heavily on my flamingos and my tropical vibes to help with my mental health. So I probably shouldn't have gotten it, but it was so pretty, and none of my really local LYSs carry Malabrigo. This was actually, I got it at a place called Gig Harbor, which is about 30 minutes to an hour away, depending on traffic. But it's where my eye doctor is. It's Rainy Day Yarns or Rainy Day Knits, something like that. I think it's Rainy Day Yarns over in Gig Harbor. Adorable shop. She has these great, hilarious signs all over the place. She had one that I really liked, which was, "You have reached the limits of my medication," which I can really relate to lately. And another one that was, "You don't have to be crazy to work here. We'll train you." So I really appreciated her sense of humor. And I felt guilty because I was asking if she had the Berocco Vintage, because when I was looking online, I lost the ball band for that yarn years ago. And I could not remember what the name of the colorway was. And looking online, I'm like, okay, it's either Bird's Egg or Gingham. And Bird's Egg looked too green and Gingham looked too blue. So I needed to see it in person and figure out which one I had. Thankfully, she had it. So I was able to say, yes, I definitively have Bird's Egg. That's definitely what it is. But I didn't buy any. And then I felt guilty. But I didn't buy it from her because I'm getting a gift certificate from Knit Picks because I'm an affiliate. So I'm going to order it from Knit Picks, which also has it on sale right now. So I felt guilty. It was a guilt purchase. I have trouble walking out of a store without buying something, especially if I've been pestering employees for information. It's a habit I have mostly broken over the last couple of years because I'm poor. But I felt like I needed to, and also this was partially a birthday present to myself. You can tell that I'm poor because I feel like I have to justify every purchase I make that is not directly related to my survival. The second acquisition I got is a bag full of embroidery floss, which I need for the Eleonora Project. This actually, I need more black. I'm going to have to buy that specifically, but I have a very limited color palette of my embroidery floss, so this will get me set up for a while. And this whole bag was $4. And considering any more embroidery floss is like 50 cents to $1 per hank, I figured that was a really good deal. So last up is Watch, Read, Play. Again, mental health has been bad, so I'm playing a lot of video games right now. I'm playing Dreamlight Valley. That's a standard for me. I also went back and started playing Animal Crossing New Horizons again. I changed my setup in here and was able to... My second monitor that I had on my desk that I hook up to my laptop, that's actually a smart TV, but it's kind of on its way out. It has some like backlight issues, which was making it really hard to use when I'm trying to do work. Makes it really hard to read things, especially in Excel. Somewhat in my email program, but especially in Excel. So my mom had a spare monitor she wasn't using, so that is hooked up here right now, works a lot better. And the TV is still usable, it's just a little annoying, so I moved that back here, hooked my Switch up to it, which cleared up some space on my desk. So now I'm able to play my video games a little bit more ergonomically. The Switch is not ergonomic. It's way too heavy, and it means holding my wrists at the wrong angle. So I've got a Bluetooth controller for it, which I like because it's colorful, kind of like my microphone. But this is way more comfortable to use than the Switch controller, even the adapted version where you take the little sides out and put them in a holder. But been playing Dreamlight Valley and Animal Crossing. I've also been playing a lot of mobile games lately. I've basically replaced all social media with mobile gaming and reading, which has been a lot better for my mental health. I don't know what else to say about that. I'm not a great gaming channel. I just enjoy playing sometimes. I play very basic games, as you might have noticed. I'm a big fan of things like Tetris and Solitaire. So, what have I been reading? So I read 9 books in June, which is the most I have read in a month in at least 5 years. I went into a major reading slump when we moved to Washington. I've only just started coming out of it last fall. I only started tracking my reading again in January. And by tracking, I mean just like writing down the stuff that I've read, setting myself a low goal, and making comments about the stuff that I've read. So this is my reading journal. And this is, I think it's Electrum. Yeah, Electrum 1917 that I found at Home Goods. It was on sale. It was like $4. And I was like, you never see these notebooks for that price. So I grabbed it. And this was a few years ago. So I've got my table of contents. And then the first few pages are what I call my ultimate TBR. And I write down all of the books that I want to read and most of the books that are on my library wish list. And then anything that you see in ink, I've already read. And then sometimes I'll like cross things out or erase them if I decide not to read them. But this has transferred from several previous notebooks. And if you want me to do a more detailed flip through of this, then I can, but this is just for my own personal gratification. As you can see, I set myself a goal of reading 30 books in 2025 because I wanted to be gentle with myself. And I have almost hit that number. Once I finish what I'm currently reading, I will have passed that goal. So this was my June page, and then on the back I have my thoughts. And because I was doing so well with my reading, I also added in some trackers because I like statistics, just to see how much of different series I've read, what genres I'm reading, all that good stuff. So I think I like the journal. I think things are going well with my reading, but what did I actually read? That's the question I haven't answered yet. So I read a trilogy called The Sin Eater's Daughter. Started this back in May, and I thought that it was a standalone fantasy. Started reading it and discovered that, oh, this isn't really fantasy. It's just like an alternate medieval world. And then the second half of the last chapter, it's like, boom, magic is real. There's definitely magic. This is fantasy. And it's really good. She does a lot of really great world building in there. She's got some really great twists. Highly recommend. And then I will give a trigger warning though, because she does have some graphic violence in there. If you are a fantasy lover but not a romantasy reader, definitely pick this one up. And it is The Sin Eater's Daughter by Melinda Salzberg. I also read a duology called Once a Witch, Always a Witch by Carolyn McCullough. It gives YA Discovery of Witches vibes. The second book I don't think was as good, but I still really enjoyed the series. And then currently I am reading Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. That is the book on my desk at my office, which means I have not read it in a week. I've also got, I'm on the second book of the Trials of Apollo series by Rick Riordan, The Dark Oracle, which I can tell when he wrote this book because there was a lot of anti-queer sentiment at the time, and he was getting a little bit of flack for having queer characters in the Percy Jackson books. So he went hard, and there are gays and theys everywhere you look in this series, and I love it. I'm also reading the ebook version of A Case for the Winemaker. That is by Candace Havens. There is a series of TV movies featuring Candace Cameron Bure. You can watch 2 of them on YouTube. I don't know where else to watch them online other than the GAC website, which I refuse to pay for. But I'm on the first book. So far, it's pretty good. I don't understand some of the changes that they made for the TV show because they don't really make sense to change. Like, in the book version, her brother's the sheriff, I think. He's a police officer. And in the book, he's her older brother. And in the TV series, he's her younger brother. Like, why would you change that? That's such a weird change to make. And like, they changed the breed of her dog, which I kind of get. In the book, it's a Great Dane, and that would have been kind of hard to handle. And in the TV show, I think he's some kind of a doodle. But anyway, I'm enjoying the book so far. I'm not very far into it. I think I'm on like chapter 2 or chapter 3. And as far as what I'm watching, I will talk about this more over on the other channel when I film my next video for that. Currently, I am trying to watch Harry Wild. This is available through my library on Hoopla. It's also on the Acorn app. It's an Acorn original. And it stars Jane Seymour, who is a retired English professor from the college and set in Ireland. She has a bit of an attitude problem. There is a concerning amount of wine, but she is so sarcastic, and I love it. And she solves murders with her teenage assistant named Fergus, who is great. I'm really enjoying the series, but because it's through Hoopla, I can only check out 1 episode at a time, and I'm limited to 10 checkouts a month. So I think I'm going to try to finish it this month, but then it means I can't check out anything else. So trade-offs. But I'm really enjoying it. And I'll talk more about that over on the Cozy Shenanigans blog or over on the Cozy Shenanigans YouTube channel, one of the two. So I think that is all that I have for this week. I'm sorry I'm umming so much. I don't have a script in front of me today, so I'm making it up as I go along. I normally script out my episodes, but I wanted to sit down and get this out, and I knew that if I scripted it, I would never get it done. So thank you for sticking around. Thank you for coming back. Thanks for checking in if you're new here. And I hope to see you all again soon. If you could leave me a like, a comment, subscribe, let me know that there's someone out there watching. One of my big mental health struggles that I've been having, and also one of the reasons I stepped back from writing, is it feels like I'm creating in a vacuum and that my work is not valued. So interactions really help. It also helps YouTube to share my videos with people, because about 25 people see my videos. So if you can share, that really helps, and it makes me feel good. So thank you so much. I will see you next time. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope you have something cute and fluffy to cuddle with. Ciao!